Welcome to the Rocky Mount Area Chamber Buzz. Our guests today are Robert Skelton, who is Chief Development Officer and Vice President of the Nash Healthcare Foundation, and also Roger Taylor, who is with Roger G. Taylor & Associates, and also he's the Vice Chairman of that board. Our show is proudly brought to you by Roger G. Taylor & Associates to share with you some of the great things happening in the Twin County area for Chamber members and for the community at large. Let's take a look at some of the recent activities.
That's my teenage daughter, lying on that stretcher. She's really hurt, and I don't even know how bad. I'm so scared. I know she needs to be here to get help fast. But after all, she's still just a kid.
When an accident occurs or sudden illness strikes, your recovery begins at Nash Healthcare, where a highly qualified staff of physicians and healthcare personnel are ready 24 hours a day to handle any emergency that may arise.
This year, 60% of all the admissions to the hospital will result from an emergency room visit. It's literally the front door to our hospital. With nearly 65,000 patient visits a year, the emergency department is very frequently the patient's first contact with the Nash Healthcare System, our medical staff, our nurses, and other hospital facilities.
The current emergency department was built in 1993 and was designed to serve a maximum of 40,000 patients annually. Currently, the number of patients using the emergency department has increased to nearly 65,000 patients annually, making it one of the busiest emergency rooms in North Carolina. About 180 patients a day use the emergency department.
20% of those individuals who seek treatment at the Emergency Care Center at Nash General Hospital are age 17 and younger, compared to the national average of 10%. At Nash, this 20% equates to about 36 children daily.
It's definitely 100 times more important with children who don't have the cognitive ability to understand what's going on around them, where everything becomes frightening. The world is a frightening place to a healthy child. Make that child sick, make that child hurting, and things become more amplified.
We were all at the house. Ward was in the living room. He was sitting in his chair, stood up in his chair, turned around, and fell over onto the coffee table.
It was a Friday night. The ER was very busy. It was packed with tons of people. And so we very quickly went up to the admissions desk and really stood there until we were able to be taken back.
Mommy? There needs to be a separate facility for the safety, for the security, and frankly, for the peace of mind of not only the parents involved, but more importantly, the child.
The current physical setup of the emergency department isn't adequate or large enough to handle the increased numbers of patients being treated here. Also, we expect to see a significant increase as a result of the recently passed health reform legislation. So to keep pace with the healthcare needs and expectations of Rocky Mount Nash area residents, it's time for us to move forward with a new and larger emergency care center.
You often hear children are not little adults, and it's true. They're children with their own set of needs. Adults are scary for children, adults that they don't know.
As a pastor, a chaplain, a family member of this community, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to build for our future by building for our children and giving them the care that they need at the time of their life where they need it the most, and a pediatric care unit for our children.
I have been in the emergency room as a mom carrying my young son, as a volunteer working in there, and as a patient myself. I have seen the face of a young child who comes in nervous, not feeling good, afraid, and all of a sudden he sees an adult or someone in there that has been involved in a traffic accident, or hears a patient down in another room yelling because they're in pain. To that little boy or girl, he doesn't know that they're screaming because they're hurt. For all he knows, there's someone in there that is hurting them.
This year we will see about 13,000 children at the emergency department at the Nash Healthcare System. Unfortunately, when these children visit our emergency room, they are exposed to very difficult realities of adult situations. Currently, there is no way to separate these children or protect them from these common emergency room issues.
Our plan, like other initiatives here at Nash, is to improve the quality of health care within this region. That's our mission as a hospital board, and that's what we're committed to.
The plan is to construct a new and larger emergency department with a separate pediatric emergency care center and to provide a new, larger, and consolidated heart center. Staff members and physicians played major roles in the planning for these much-needed facilities.
This, to me, is a quality of life issue. We talk about it so often over the years to address a primary health need of our children, giving them an emergency room for themselves. They are our future. They are what we look to, and I think this will be a wonderful, wonderful addition to quality of life in this community as we move forward.
We will be one of the few hospitals in North Carolina to offer a unique environment where children will be protected from all such situations from the moment they arrive at our hospital campus. They will wait separately, be treated separately, have their own unique radiology and imaging services. We think we owe this to our children.
I'm very excited about the designated wing of the emergency room in this new facility plan. It's going to provide our young adults and children for a safe environment where they can receive the best possible health care.
In the final analysis, this is all about us pulling together to have the best hospital and healthcare system that we can possibly have. I can't think of a better way to impact the lives of every citizen in Rocky Mount and the surrounding area.
This is your Nash Healthcare, where life begins, where life is extended through medical science, and where many lives are saved.
We are delighted to welcome Bob Skelton, you're with the Nash Healthcare Foundation. You're the Vice President and the Chief Development Officer, right?
Good to be with you. Yes, I am, and you can probably summarize that as a fundraiser.
Fundraiser, okay. Well, you're getting ready to retire. Oh, say it isn't so, right, Roger?
That's right. Bob has come in 4 years ago or so and has done a wonderful job, and we're on a tremendously successful fundraiser for the Pediatrics Emergency Room at Nash Healthcare, and it'll be the only second one in Eastern North Carolina and eighth in the state of North Carolina.
There's 130 hospitals, and we'll be one of 8 that has a separate pediatric emergency department.
And we're going to talk about the reasons why that's really important and really necessary. But Roger, normally we talk about you with Roger G. Taylor and Associates, but you are here today because you are on the foundation board. I think you're vice chairman of that, is that correct?
That is correct. Bob got me involved right after he came to town.
Good idea.
And he came in and we talked, and I'd never really been involved with the hospital like with the chamber, but all of them came at once, and we've gotten very much involved and have been very successful at what we've done. The community and the citizens and the hospital employees, which we can talk about, have just been wonderful in our requests for support.
Your 2 primary fundraisers are the gala and the golf tournament, right, Bob?
We just had our Patrons Gala this past Saturday, and basically it's a black tie dinner dance. And again, at Benvenue, great setting for our event. And that event has been chaired now for the past 3 years by Sharon Crescetto.
She does a great job.
Excellent.
Tremendous.
With a team of ladies who she, I think, had honed their skills with the heart ball in previous years and just moved them right on over.
And our other event is a golf classic, and we are real pleased that Roger Taylor has been the presenting sponsor of it for the past 3 years.
Super.
And it's been really successful because we have people that have come in from multiple states, and a lot of vendors from the Nash Healthcare Center have been supported, as well as the community, and we have a full house in the morning and a full course in the afternoon, and we've been very successful in raising over $100,000 each golf tournament, and that's pretty unheard of.
Great.
Roger has put certainly his money in as the presenting sponsor, but he's also a key leader, and he's been one of our co-chair of the event since it started. And frankly, he's one of the key reasons why it's been successful. He had the idea of a wow factor, that we need to separate our events from other events. And again, he's probably played in about any golf tournament in the state and elsewhere. And the best things that he saw, he brought to our table. And again, I was fortunate enough that I learned, look, go with the great idea people. And again, Roger had the idea, and one of my strengths is the follow-up to make it happen. And so we've been a pretty good team together.
And Bob, you have quite a background in fundraising. In fact, you've got a designation, CFRE.
It just means Certified Fundraising Executive, means that you've done it a while, and I'm in my 33rd year of professional fundraising. It's a lot easier doing professional fundraising than I was 9 years as a school administrator in the South Hills of Pittsburgh. So it's a lot more fun for me doing professional fundraising for organizations like Nash Healthcare. Prior to Nash Healthcare, I was in Rowan Regional Medical Center in Salisbury, North Carolina, for about 10.5 years. And there, I guess that's where my largest capital campaign was held. It was $25 million for a new patient tower. We raised $27 million. Wow. And I think that's why Roger probably said, let's hire him at Nash Healthcare.
Well, and it does help because all of us have other jobs too, and it really helps to have a professional person to provide the leadership.
Well, that's exactly right, because Bob came into Rocky Mount, was not familiar with Rocky Mount, only the cause. And through recommendations and anything, he ended up in my office, and we sat down and set a strategy together and started looking at concepts. And me with 7 children, 10 grandchildren, I thought the idea of a pediatric emergency room, rather than being in the regular whole, who knows what's going to be there, was very much, and of course my wife and I threw our financial and personal support behind it, and then we were able to get 4 or 5 others to come in, and that set the tone, and it's been a community effort.
And Roger's our general chairman. Right. So again, besides him making a lead gift, which he did at the early part of the capital campaign, he's the general chairman of the fundraising event. And again, we probably talk at least, it seems like once a day, for
it's
sure.
Like going steady.
Bob, let's share with everybody the vision, and actually the vision is a reality. You broke ground last March. It will be open early in 2014. I read some of the background for why it's so important for children, teenagers to have their own emergency room,
Sure.
but share that with us.
One statistic that might be helpful is that most emergency departments in the state of North Carolina, 10% are PEDS patients. Nationally, that same statistic holds true, 10%. But at Nash General Hospital, 20% of the patients are PEDS patients.
Wow.
A lot of reasons have been given for that, but many of them just go back to poverty and unemployment, and when there's high levels of both, it usually ends up in abuse and neglect, and that ends up in the emergency department. And that was really the reason that our CEO, Larry Tuning, had numerous projects in mind related to how can we engage the foundation in helping the hospital. And again, with Roger's leadership and a number of other people in the community, like Bill Boddy, our honorary chair, we were looking at projects, the Heart Center, a hospice house, a separate pediatric emergency department. And consensus-wise, it was the top pick of everyone that this is what we need to do. The statistic again about we are double the state average, double the national average, just makes sense. We need to do something special here in Nash County.
And already the emergency room, the current emergency room is beyond capacity.
Yeah, in terms of hospitals and emergency department, 15 years is antiquated. And again, this is our second emergency department at Nash Healthcare, and truly it's over capacity by 30% on any given day. And again, what we're looking to do is to modernize in terms of, again, more space. During the past 15 years, more technicians, more equipment in a room in the emergency department and again, need bigger rooms and different facilities, different flow patterns. And again, we're looking to change a lot of the processes so people are seen quicker.
When you think of little kids to go in there with adult wounds and adult emergencies, it's traumatic enough for a child to need to go, but then to be put in that same environment.
With gunshot wounds and drug overdosed, and I mean, you know, it's certainly devastating.
Well, there's been a whole lot of thought and planning done in preparing this and drawing this, and I love going by the hospital and see it's right out front there. But we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to show people. You brought some drawings, so we can let them kind of take a tour of it and see what the plans are. So
great.
We'll be right back. And we're back, and we want to say right up front how much we appreciate Roger G. Taylor and Associates for making this show possible. So we thank you, Roger G. Taylor. So, and we really do appreciate it because it's helped let all of you know all the wonderful people doing great things in our community. We just really are so happy to share the story. And this is a great story. Bob Skelton talking about the foundation and what they're already working on. I mean, what we're seeing now when we drive by Nash Healthcare Systems.
Huge facility, big for Rocky Mount, big for Nash Healthcare. The biggest improvement is if you were new, our CEO uses the joke, if Richard Petty had the fastest race car, a full tank of gas, he would run out of gas before he'd find the emergency department at Nash General Hospital campus. And again, because it really is kind of hidden behind the main building, the first thing that people are going to see when they go onto the hospital campus will be the new emergency department. And certainly the people that are going by on Winstead Avenue, I think they can't help but want to look in that direction to see what's going on. And that facility, again, will transform the emergency care that we've got in Nash County at this time. The whole bottom floor will be the new emergency department. And again, there'll be two separate entrances. Again, one for adults and one for pediatric patients. So again, that we can truly have a separation between children and the adult situations that we really don't want to expose children to. And the second floor and the third floor will relate to the new emergency, to the new heart center, that we have. And just going back again to the pediatric emergency department, that separate entrance will go into, again, a lobby filled with color and really games for children to be involved in. Not so much for the sick child, but again, so many cases that, again, it's the parent or parents and the other children that are coming along with them. So that, again, it can be as comfortable as possible and as much as we can to kind of make it a pleasant setting as opposed to a typical emergency department. So again, we're looking to make it child-friendly and doing it that way in terms of, again, more furniture that's more suited to children, little stuff, colorful, some interesting things. And then when we get behind the door where the treatments are, is that we're going to have then nurses that are specifically trained in pediatric medicine. The same thing for physicians. We have an emergency doctor service. They do provide the doctor so that we can run 24/7, 365. But as we're doing now, that we're indicating, we're looking for people that have pediatric specialization, so that again, we have the kind of doctor that we know we need to interact with families with young children. And overall, again, I hope no one really needs to go to the hospital, but when they do need to go to the hospital, especially when children go to the hospital, that we wanted to have the most pleasant experience possible for our children and their families.
And we draw from a pretty large geographic area with I-95 and 64. I mean, like you said, we're 30% overusing the emergency room that we have right now. So this is really sorely needed if it weren't for even the enhancement of having separate entrances.
Yes, again, going back to, again, a 15-year-old facility in terms of emergency department is antiquated. And again, this will be the state of the art. And just when you see the rendering, again, patients that need to be airlifted out of Nash Healthcare, they'll go right from the emergency department right onto the helicopter pad. Today, they would need to be basically put in an ambulance, taken to the helicopter pad. So this will be one less step, and again, quicker transport of those patients that need to be transported.
Well, to share with people a little bit more about what a wonderful facility we have in Nash Healthcare System. I mean, we've got the Bryant Aldridge Rehab, we've got the Heart Center, we've got people who get diagnosed other places even can come back for their chemo, for their radiation. I mean, this is a marvelous facility that we can be so appreciative of, right, Roger?
It sure is, because, Gene, I've been blessed not to have to go to the hospital and children and things like that. But since I have been so actively involved with the foundation, the Nash Healthcare Foundation, I have learned more. I have visited, I have toured, and it's amazing at what goes on out there. And there's really no need, there's no need for people to drive by to go to Raleigh or go to Greenville, things. We have the facilities right here in Nash County and the surrounding areas. And this is more like a regional hospital rather than a local hospital, particularly with what's being added. You know, if you got heart problems, you better get somewhere quickly. Well, we have it right here. The heliport, like you said, is right here. Children, I mean, it's just the state of the art, and we just need to appreciate what is available.
And so much more, even with heart, didn't they get the designation to be able to put stents in now?
Yes.
Relatively recently.
And again, going into partnerships is the strong partnership that we have with the heart program in Greenville, the Vidant Hospital. And again, also other specializations with the UNC system for our cancer care, and then neonatology with Duke. So again, what we're looking to do is to the specialization, having it right here in Rocky Mount, where people don't have to leave the area for any type of specialized.
And that neonatology, because a parent with a premature child, the last thing they want to have to do is move to another town, and it used to be they'd have to go pretty far to get that, and I met that physician, and he is right here in Nash Healthcare System. So, and bariatric bypass surgery, y'all got a partnership, I think, with East Carolina, so they come up and perform that. And Roger, to your point, when people get sick, they want to stay close to home.
Well, that's right, because people like to visit and need that attention, and again, as I become more aware, you know, I've been here all my life, but you pass by things, you don't understand it, you don't appreciate it until you need it. And of course, in my business, I have a lot of clients that have issues, and the ones that have been treated here for whatever have been more than satisfied. And one thing that the foundation has done with what we're doing with the gala and with the golf tournament and with the fundraising is the hospital is going out to the community. And the community is really seeing what the hospital stands for. See, everybody thinks the hospital has all the money they want. They don't. You understand? They don't. And they're a taxpayer to Nash County. You know, and I mean, it's a support. So it's an effort of the whole. But we've had churches have fundraisers and have brought monies to this pediatric emergency room project. And you know, that just makes you feel good and a part of the community. And you know, churches and schools and hospital, all three are very, very important for any community. And again, this is a state of the art. This is not low profile. This is big league. And
we've been so fortunate that with the leadership at the hospital too, with Brian Aldridge and then Rick Toomey and now Larry Tuning. And sorry, you're leaving.
Roger Taylor Hayes.
Absolutely. The
you
volunteer leadership.
Good sources. We were going to make that announcement in March or April, so you have great inside sources for my retirement.
Well, we certainly do appreciate all that you've done, so thank you so much. And Roger, as always, you're just such a wonderful leader and community citizen, and we appreciate all you do too.
Well, let me tell you, Gene, if anybody does any more than you,
That's
right.
I'm just so proud of you.
Well, thank you.
Every time I see you, I just think you're a walking symbol of the Rocky Mountain community, and we thank you.
Well, you're so welcome. We love Rocky Mountain. So,
Thanks for what
and thank
you
you. And thank you. We appreciate you too, and we'll see you next week.